My school years were memorable. So many memories, stories to share. Unfortunately, some are stories that nightmares are made of. There was one year that I remember being different from all the others, and I couldn't wait to throw my school bag into the port racks and pounce into the classroom. It was grade 5. She was different. My teacher was different.
Michelle, thank you for being here to discuss education philosophy. In the last week alone, I can recall 3 articles that scrutinise the education system and its teachers. How do you respond to these articles?
Well, I say bring it on. I welcome everybody and anybody to scrutinise the education system and its teachers. The responsibility that education and educators have on people's lives is infinite, both in terms of its effect on one's personal agency as well as the trajectory of one's life. Here is one of the most influential agents of socialisation, and whether it be through conscious thought or not, it's forever influencing, and given this, it needs to be continually contested.
What do you think should be the aim of education?
There's no denying that we live in a world of inequality, and we live in a world where we have to work for a living. These are facts. So there is a need for the education system to encourage social justice, to give everyone equal opportunities in terms of education, as well as provide an education that will enable a productive workforce. From a teacher's perspective, however, my aim is far more holistic, human. My aim is to meet the needs of my students, no matter how diverse they might be, so that my students become willing and able participants in society, but who have choices of how they would like to participate in that society. You know, what career, what occupation would they like to do? What would give them ultimate sense of achievement and happiness?
How would you respond if you were accused of being idealistic in your response?
It is idealistic. There's no doubt about that. But if I don't aim for what's beyond possible, I'm only ever going to achieve what one deems as possible. I don't mean to be a magic worker or a genie in a lamp. No doubt there's going to be situations that I'm going to come across that are extremely complex, where there's variables that are out of my control. And that's going to limit to how and to what extent I can try and right the wrong. But what I can do is get advice when I need it, work within the constraints that's before me, and to treat every student and situation with the singular attention that it deserves. It's also important that I include families, parents and carers in these situations as well, and to be human, to respond and act to situations not as a robot, not using a set of pre-rehearsed phrases that are considered politically safe to use or hide behind policy and procedure.
In the introduction to this interview, you said that your teacher was different. Can you explain what you were referring to?
She was different. Mrs. Sol was her name, a born teacher, my mum would say, as if they were biologically determined. She was different because she cared. You know, when I was asked to do an educational philosophy, I just laughed at myself, thinking I can't write a philosophy based on caring. And then shortly afterwards, I discovered Nell Noddings, specifically her work, The Challenge to Care in Schools.
I would think that a lot of teachers care for their students. What differentiates teachers who care?
The difference is how they show they care. And I don't mean picking up a child after they've fallen down, it's more than that. It's in the teacher's pedagogical approach that caring takes on a whole new dimension. Nell Noddings explains that if you show a student that you care about what they're doing, then often you're going to get a reciprocal response. They're going to care about the tasks they're doing as well. And that's what I call successful student engagement. The caring also needs to be real. It needs to be credible. Like Paulo Freire describes in Pedagogy of the Oppressed, he talks about the shift in teacher-student relationships, and I'm 100% with that. I want my students to know that I don't regard myself as the all-authoritative figure in the classroom. I want them to know that I'm one of them, that I want to learn as much from them as they can from me. I think Ralph Waldo Emerson summed it up best when he said, as educators, our intent should be to teach our students the way that we would want to be taught.
The school curriculum seems to be forever changing. What is your take on curriculum?
In terms of assessment, I think there's been significant advances. educators realise that some assessment methods are better than others in catering for diverse students. For example, grade 8 learning mitosis. Some have the literary skills to show their understanding in essay, others didn't have the literary skills, but they could convey just as much an understanding of mitosis in, say, stop motion animation. In terms of traditional resources, this is another area that's come under scrutiny, and so it should. As teachers, we don't want to inadvertently convey messages that are to the contrary, that are not beliefs and values that celebrate equality and diversity.
However, technology, specifically social media, has extended the realm of the classroom into society, into the home. What is your take on technology and the hidden curriculum?
I see its benefits and I see its downfalls. My son conducts his social life over Xbox, and I'm thankful for it. As society expands outwards, children are not physically accessible as they once were. They live further away from the school, and so meeting at the local cul-de-sac after school just isn't practical anymore. However, we have seen the harshest of consequences as well, with children committing suicide as a result of cyberbullying. So social media has allowed the social conventions of the playground to be more visible and louder in one sense, but at the same token, it's silenced social conventions as they go just as unnoticed. This is where the aim of education and pedagogical approach and strategies are ever more important, to convey messages of acceptance, encourage and celebrate heterogeneity, provide ethical foundations, and relationship building that must influence students in ways that curb adverse behaviour.